Hey there, YouTube friends, maskedbandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me again today. I always do appreciate it, and welcome back to Planet Zoo, another video focusing on the South America DLC. My goal here was to get enclosures for all the new animals. I'm not gonna lie, I did not get one for the anteater. It just didn't speak to me. So this one here, the leopard will be the Jaguar will be the final little South America DLC specific video that we're going to have here. And so you can expect regular Planet Zoo content back after this video. So back to Emerald Gardens and stuff like that. Maybe we'll do some streaming here while everyone is still stuck at home. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and take a look at how we got to this Jaguar exhibit. So you all know it finished product, but we're going to step back in time and I'll walk you through it. So we start with a blank map. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first step in the process. So the first step in this exhibit for me was to go ahead and get a general idea of what I wanted. I wanted something longer and narrower for this exhibit. When I think about the Jaguar exhibits that I've seen, they tend to be more narrow but tall because Jaguars enjoy climbing. We're going to do something like that. I did do a quick Google search for Jaguar exhibits, and one that kept popping up was Los Angeles Zoo apparently got a new Jaguar exhibit a few years ago, and I know the Houston Zoo is going to be opening their brand new one sometime later this summer if everything goes according to plan. Who knows? But there's also, in a lot of the pictures I saw, some running water somewhere in the habitat, and that's an idea that I wanted to see. I saw a lot of really shallow water, like almost just water just barely cascading over rocks and stuff. And so that was something that I thought would be fun to try and do in this exhibit. But first and foremost, I wanted it to feel a bit more like a trail, which is why the path is so weavy as opposed to just hugging the edge of the exhibit. I thought that'd be better for both the animal and the guest, make it more of kind of like an adventure. And so the plan is going to be two main viewing areas, and the area is going to be blocked. You're not going to be able to see each other. And I actually kind of started to do that over here. That was what this little test is over here. So the reason we have some scenery pieces over here is because I wanted to be sure that when you're standing here looking into the exhibit, you can't see the other people. There's this zoo design book, and I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but that was one of the big things, is to really heighten guest enjoyment and immersion. Make it so that you can't see other guests, you can only see the animal. It'll make it feel like the animal is completely in a natural environment. So you can see we've got this sloped moat thing going on, this dry moat with the gradual slope. That seems to be kind of the standard practice these days in a lot of these habitat builds. I do want to say up front, I did not read any AZA manuals for this exhibit. This is going to be plausible without being super high realism, unlike specifically the wolf exhibit in Emerald Gardens, if you know what that exhibit looks like and all the research that went into that. I basically just looked off a few pictures, and if you are really in the know on how zoos function and what these big cats would need, you will probably find things that are not quite perfect. But I did take advantage of these awesome new path options. So if you are unaware of the new update that came with the paths here, you can go ahead and I'm going to plop a path down, and over here where the gear is, scroll down to elevated length, and you can control, when you create an incline, the rate at which it climbs. So this is a 1 meter staircase now, which is super cool, and you can go ahead and you can do it on a ramp. You can do it as a staircase, but every time you raise it, it only raises it 1 meter. So we're in that ugly stage of exhibit design. Inevitably, what ends up happening for me is I have to get the animal in there sooner rather than later so I can see how much space the game wants them to have and compare that to how much space I think they would look right. And I did want to give this guy a lot of space. Big cats need a lot of space, and I know that in a lot of zoos currently, these types of cats don't really have the space that they necessarily need. But you'll notice we have all this terrain. Don't pay no attention to this awful glass wall. This was all my fiddling. You'll also notice how much smaller the habitat got. I originally planned to have it stretch all the way over here, but that would have been ridiculous. I mean, look at how small the Jaguar is in there. But this is what I spent a lot of time doing here. This little river system here, and you can see how shallow it is. It's barely on the rocks, and there's actually not any water in here at all. These are all particle effects, and you can see they're upside down. We'll hide most of these as best we can, and we have some cascading waterfalls here, and I was trying to make sure that it looked fairly natural without being too intense in its flow. Like, this might be a bit much, but I'm okay with it. I think it looks pretty all right. But the idea that it cascades over different places here, I really enjoyed. Some really simple foliage here to see what's going on. So an idea of where our hard shelter is going to go. That kind of stuff is still all up in the air. In fact, I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of this is actually going to change. This felt way too far down. Like, if you were sitting here and the leopard was in the water, you wouldn't be able to see it. So I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to happen. So currently there is too much of a space between the ground and the top. I felt like that was too big. So we're going to fix that. So let's go ahead and, so this is kind of like rough draft, we'll say, and then we go in and we're going to begin refining it. But I do love that Jaguar loves the pond. It's pretty cool. Let's keep moving along though. So now we've progressed a bit more. The enclosure size and shape is still basically the same here. You can see I've gone ahead and taken the glass out here, and I've replaced it with null barriers. Just kind of getting a feel for it, and you'll notice there's a lot more greenery, and we have some climbing things now. I wanted, again, climbing in this game can be a little funky, and jaguars are climbing animals, so I wanted to make sure that I could put stuff in such a way, look at the jump, holy crap, that it could go ahead and actually make, that it would make sense for the animal to climb. And he absolutely loves this pole. And he'll lay, it's so cool, when he's not taking a dump, he will lay on this beam right here, and then you just get the most perfect view. And I did the same thing over here. It's really catterwampusy. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They're not necessarily all that supported as well. I do fix it a little bit to make it feel a little more realistic, like this log would just roll right down. I mean, we could say it's nailed in or something, but the idea here is that the easiest way for the Jaguar, there he goes, the easiest way for the Jaguar to get around the enclosure is to use the climbing structures. If he wants to go get some scratching done, he'll climb up there, hopefully. And if he wants to go ahead and play with the rubber ball, he'll climb up there and get it done. Put another thing over here to make him use the space. He was tending to hang out a lot over here because that's where the food is, but you'll notice that food's pretty rank. One of the problems I'm running into is the keepers are having a hard time getting down here. So these are all things that I've been having to struggle with and think about. And having these plants on the ground take away from the navigable area. There you go, you can see he's up there now. Take away from the navigable area. That's not a word, but that's something to consider too. So while the habitat was a perfect size for him before all these trees and plants were in, with the trees and plants in now, it is actually too small, and I kind of feel like it is a little cramped. So I do end up extending it a bit. So let's go ahead and see where we're going. So while it may not look like it at first, there are some pretty sizable changes here. I've gone ahead and taken the Jaguar out because I wanted to do some more work, and I was having some terrain. Terrain was not playing nicely with the barriers, so I had to remove a lot of them. You'll notice that the pond here is a bit different in shape, and it's also higher up. This whole habitat, in fact, the whole bottom layer of the habitat has been raised up significantly. Maybe to the point where it's not realistic anymore, but I'm okay with it. I'm all right with that. We're going to have tall glass here that they can't climb up. We have this tall mesh fencing here, kind of like what I did for the lion house in Season Zoo. And we'll put no climb borders on it. So I'm all right with that idea. And I went ahead and I opened it up a bit. You can see I left the scenery here. This is where that little pop out was. And I've scooched it all the way back over here. And we're gonna have to move this over here, because right now you can totally, if you're standing here, you can see pretty clearly. You can see those people over there. So we're gonna try and block that view. Another thing is this area over here would be perfect for like a staff, like a big truck. If a truck ever needed to come in here and get through, we could put some big old gates there. And that's how they would get in and out of the exhibit. Big, if they had to move earth around, bring in mulch or dirt or whatever. And then this area here will be the backstage and the night housing and all that stuff. And we're going to just cover it. We're not going to actually build that kind of stuff in this exhibit. But we're going to imply it by the size and the shape of the building. So those are all some little things that are going through my head at this stage. You also notice the main feeder has moved up here, so that the keeper can easily access it. Like I said, change the terrain here so that it looks a little more natural, but still less natural at the same time somehow. I don't know. So yeah, it's coming along, and I'm getting pretty pleased with it. We're really trying to fill in the back here with lots and lots of the big trees to kind of make this feel like an actual jungle, without putting a ton of those huge trees and just completely obliterating all the sight lines of the exhibit. And that's a fine balance to strike. Like, you want to feel like you are in the Jaguar's habitat, so you surround yourself with the trees that are in there, but at the same time, it is a zoo, and I feel like you should be able to see the animal, usually. There are actually points where you can't see them in here, which is kind of neat. So, yeah. So you can see our Jaguar is back in its habitat. We have gone ahead and dressed up the backstage area and his interior habitat. I've gone ahead and also put in the final barrier here, at least where it's going to be located. This is not the final texture. I don't do wood barriers here. I don't really like the way they look, but you can see here all this faux rock, all this phony rock up here is supposed to shield everyone's view of the backstage area, which isn't done yet, so that when you are sitting here, it just looks like rocks, or it looks like they're hiding the actual building. And you can even see some of the actual concrete that they would have made it out of. And here's a really cool trick that it was shared by people on Brunation, which you can do. I'm going to scooch this over. This is too small for an animal's hitbox normally, but because this animal has climbing, you can put a climbing structure in, and then it ignores its hitbox while it's climbing. So that's pretty cool. The only way it can get in and out of its habitat is by, quote, climbing on those logs in there. And the keeper, on the other hand, can get through here no problem, but the Jaguar can't. So that's a really fun thing to do. And if we wanted to, we could like close this off and make this look like it was a closed door and they only open it up during the day. But this animal does have a hard shelter need, so I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, more tweaks to plantings, more tweaks to foliage. We put glass over here now, and I made it taller so that it's not as scary. But this is gonna be like the prime viewing area here. Like, yeah, you can come over here and get some nice angles as well, but the main viewing area I anticipate is going to be this one. So you get their nice look through the glass there, your unobstructed views. And then if you want to get up close and personal with the leopard or the Jaguar a little bit more, you can come on in over here and maybe you'll catch him playing in the grass over here. But you can see, went ahead and put those gates in like I was talking about. I think that just adds a little bit of extra realism to it. Like, it's very clear, oh, there's some gates there. And you can't have trees blocking it. Like, this would all be open. So you can flank trees on either side of them. But it's little details like that that really help sell the realism vibe. I was watching not the most recent episode of Koali Zoo, but the one before it. And they were showing off like this walkway that shows all the animals, like these animal banners. And you don't even notice it, but there's a whole service road that goes underneath that path. And once you know it's there, you can see, oh, all the plantings stop there where the road is. And so, but it's one of those are the kind of details that I like to add, the things you don't notice until you realize you notice them. Like, and they're what make the exhibit feel real without you even realizing it. Like this gate right here. Like if I don't point it out, you're probably not even going to really pay attention to it. But if it wasn't there, it wouldn't make it feel, it would make it feel a little less realistic. So those are the kind of things I like to do. And yeah, so we are actually pretty close to the end here. This came together relatively quickly. So this is the finished result. This is the final result, and I want to show you what it would look like if you were experiencing. Now, pay no attention to how unfinished anything is over there, but if you were to experience this exhibit yourself, what you would come into contact with. So as you rounded the corner here, you would get your first... No, over here. See, I even missed it. That was kind of my plan. I wanted to hide a bunch of this stuff, and there are a ton of people around, so oh, it's so crowded. But I wanted it to be almost difficult to find these little areas. And so over here, there's not even anybody over here. Look at this. We have our mesh fence, one of our viewing areas here. So we can go ahead and we can take a look. And do we see the Jaguar in here? Oh, it's on the logs. There it is. Look at that. It's playing. Is it gonna? It's phasing through the logs. There he goes. You go play with the box. So you can see, like, I'm really happy with how this all came together. So I think it turned out quite well. Yeah, he's playing with the box. I love that it's a gulpy box. It's pretty fun. So yeah, you can see all the heavy. I put in some bigger trees. Really tried to make it feel overgrown while still giving the Jaguar enough room to move. This is one of those new exhibit covers, this part here. Really like it. It's pretty cute, pretty theme specific, but I like it. It's nice. So new picnic bench as well from the DLC. It comes with an umbrella, but I didn't put the umbrella in. Nobody sits there because there's no food vendors around, but I thought it would be a cute little thing. Come sit here, hang out for a while, watch the Jaguar roam around. So that's pretty cool. Took advantage of the new Jaguar statue. Love this statue. I do have to say, Frontier's scenery work is always top notch. I never complain about the quality of the scenery. Just, you know, I think I mentioned it in my review video. Would have loved to see a few more animals at the expense of some of the scenery. So here's your main viewing area. And oh, look, he's got the rubber thing in his mouth. That's cool. Very nice. It's nice to see the animal so active, but I love the shade here with these big, and these are some more of the DLC Brazil nut trees and stuff like that, but it just casts this shadow throughout the exhibit, which I think is just great, and hopefully you agree as well. And I love that he uses so much of the space. I don't know, I think this might be one of my favorite exhibits that I've built thus far. And he goes all the way up there. He, like, that ball is placed at the top of the rocks, so he had to go all the way up there to grab it, which is pretty neat. So look at him, there he goes. So cool. Animations are so good. The animal's beautiful. Love the coat. It's so well done. And then if we want to, we can... Oh, there are some people looking. We got some of the DLC benches with the silly anteaters on them. Those are a little goofy. But here's what I was talking about. Like this area here, this is all just to envelop you in the habitat of the Jaguar a bit more. And you don't even notice that there's this little overhang here until you get up in it. And I love that. I want to do more of that as I move forward with my Planet Zoo work. Here we made a simple overhang with some of the new thatch roof pieces and some of the new bamboo pieces that came with the game. The bamboo texture is very nice, and I absolutely love the recolorable bamboo. So this is the non-recolorable bamboo that I used to make the fence here, and now it doesn't feel quite so death-defying. And I did try to add some idea of a no-climb fence here, just because this is pretty close. And we're not going to think about how the Jaguar might be agile enough to actually leap over the fence and onto the path, but we're going to pretend we don't know that can happen. But now you can see, like, I'm at the edge here, and I'm having a hard time seeing the people over. I can sort of just barely see them. But for the most part, I can't see the other people that are watching in the exhibit, and that's what I was going for. So yeah, this is another good view. Look at that. Oh man. cool to see him so active, like I said. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to hop out of the old Tegid cam and give you a look at what it looks like from above, the final product. So you can see here just how green and just how tree covered this whole area really, really is. I think that just helps cement it. And you can see here we have our backstage area now, and it is the simplest of things, but it works so very well, I think, because backstage zoo buildings are simple. Simple buildings, nothing fancy here. But you can imagine, like, this is how you get, if you need to transport the animal, you're going to come in. I didn't doll it up, but you're going to come in this way with your truck. You're going to be able to get the animal. One thing I did add in the keeper area here, if you look, we do have a door for keepers to enter. We do have, and you could also close this door. So like if you wanted the animal to be away from like the interior portion, you could open up this, they call it a guillotine gate. You could open this up, animal comes in here, close it, close this so they can't access the habitat. Now they're in this little area while you do whatever you need to indoors. Same likewise, you can open it up, cat goes in there to his nighttime habitat, close the door. Now you can get in and clean the exhibit. One of the least realistic parts of Planet Zoo is the fact that the keepers and the animals coexist in the habitat at the same time. Like right now, ain't no way no lady's getting in the cage with the Jaguar. So yeah, there is nothing over here though. This is all phony baloney. But the idea of it is there, and so I think that another little thing that just helps add to the realism, I think. So yeah, that is gonna do it just about for this episode, for this habitat build. And like I said, after this, we might do some live streaming. On Bro Nation, we are hosting a mini zoo competition. I think there's about 2 weeks left to build something for that. I might go ahead and take a stab at that on a live stream. That might be fun. And there's also a Planet Coaster mini park competition that is coming around the corner. It might be kind of fun to tackle that. So I think we're going to do some more streaming here in the near future. And then we'll get back on track with episodes of Emerald Gardens and back to Summerdale in Planet Coaster. So with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. And if you are new here or haven't yet, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any content on the channel. With all that being said, have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I will see you real soon for some more Planet Zoo content. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.